my friends. We are still working on my '03 Mach 1 Mustang. If you missed any videos in the series, I'll link them here so you can check them out. And while you're here, please like and subscribe. So we are going to be fender rolling. I wanted to get into this because it was a critical junction in lowering my car, was rolling my fenders, and of course, me being me, I didn't want to pay anybody to do it. I wanted to learn it myself. I had put 315s on the back of my car, pretty much like the widest that I could make it go, and unfortunately, after I put my coilovers on, there was some rubbing, and by rubbing I mean shaving of my tires. So I adjusted the coilovers several times, and it seemed no matter what I did, it was still shaving the tires. And the tires are nice tires, so it broke my heart. Every time I thought I'd clear it, I'd get to the supermarket and I'd, check out my tires, and I'd see like a light shaving, and I thought, was it always like this, or did I just shave more of my tire? Fortunately, I was shaving more of my tire. So I realized the only thing to do was to bite the bullet and, well, roll my fenders or lift my car back up, but I liked the low profile look of it. Some people told me that I should have installed the coilovers first, lowered it, and then added the tires, which I'm sure is fine. I chose to go with the tires that I wanted, and for me it was priorities. If I had to choose, I would choose a higher stance and wider tires than sacrifice tire width for the level I could lower the car. So that's kind of my thought process on there. So when I first even thought about rolling my fenders, or even heard the term rolling a fender, it sounded horrifying. What? Roll your fender? Like, that can't be good. I first heard about it when I was thinking about lowering my Mercedes. I haven't done that yet, but maybe now that I've got the confidence to roll my fenders. So I begrudgingly bought a fender roller. My biggest concerns with rolling my fenders were, I've already wrapped my car, so is that gonna ruin the wrap? Because I know you have to heat up the fenders to, get them softer and more pliable to slowly bend them in. Second thing that I was afraid of was cracking the paint underneath the wrap, and I don't know, that probably would have been disastrous. I watched a lot of, stories and videos on YouTube where amateurs like me pretty much F their car up because they think, oh, willy-nilly gonna roll my fenders, and I didn't want that to be me. So this is not a how to roll your fenders. I'm gonna show you how to do it, but please know that there's incredible videos out there by actually the brand that I purchased the fender roller. They do great jobs of explaining how to roll fenders. So this is not, by any way, shape, or form, do not get it twisted. I am no pro at rolling fenders. Since rolling my Mustang fenders, I've only rolled up maybe 3 more cars. It got better and better for sure, but this is more of an inspirational video that if I can roll a fender, anybody can roll a fender. Especially because it takes like muscle to do it. The fender rollers are heavy. Just the motion of rolling the fenders, that's not easy. I am a girl. I don't claim to be some bodybuilder. I am a small girl. And again, like, bodywork, fender rolling, not my forte. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing I want to show you is the equipment that I used. Now, I didn't cheap out. I did get what was said to be the most recommended fender roller. Again, I'm sure there's better ones out there, but this was like 90 bucks on eBay, and I'll link that description in the area where you link descriptions. This is so heavy. So this is the Eastwood fender roller. You can get it many places. I got mine on Amazon. And then the other thing that you need is, of course, a heat gun. I already had a heat gun because I wrapped my cars, so I had that. Alright, so let's go ahead and remove the wheels and get into the actual setup of a fender roller. These are my wheels that I got from Late Model Restoration, and they were a bargain. They were like, I don't know, 980 bucks for 4. Super happy with them. This '03 Mustang was definitely like a budget build. I say that about all of my cars. When I say budget build, it's usually because I didn't want to spend money on something specific. For this car, the wheels that I found happened to be very budget friendly, so that's what I went with. I don't seek out cheap or expensive parts. I like what I like, if that makes sense. So These ones happen to be a really good price and I absolutely love them. Alright, so with the tire off, you can actually start, you can mount the bracket. Obviously, pretty simple. You use the lug nuts to tighten it down and mount it here. This is the area, and I'll show you the fronts because I didn't do the fronts so you can see how they started. If you've got a tapered end, like a conical cone shaped lug nuts on the bottom, they give you these little spacers that are concave in the center, so your lug nuts seat a little bit better. I'm not going to torque these down or anything, but I'm going to snug them up. So that's pretty much it. You want to start this at an angle where it's very gently tapering it, and you've got 3 areas to primarily play with. This will move back and forth, this will move up and down, and this bar here will push this either in or out, therefore moving the wheel in and out. So once you have it set up, you know, very gently start with heating it up, obviously. Once that's all set up to go, then it's just a matter of actually rolling it out of control. Just like that. There's also an adjustment if you're not clearing your brake caliper. You can utilize the spacers between where this clamps onto the rotor, and then you can also play with these pin alignments that will move it or reposition it a little bit. There's also double holes here so you can reposition it as well. There's like lots of flexibility. That's what I mean, like the actual fender rolling wasn't the long process, it was setting it up and dialing in exactly where I needed it to be to start. Once that was on, it was just a matter of like rolling, adjusting it, and rolling, adjusting it. So let's take a look at the actual fenders. So that's that. There it is. Like, there's nothing pretty or fun about this. You heat, you wheel, you heat, you wheel, you heat, you wheel. You just keep going. You apply a little bit more pressure. You adjust the wheel so it's pushing a little bit more into that fender. You roll it until you have less resistance. When you have, you know, pretty much 0 resistance, change the angle, push it up, whatever you need to do, however it's positioned. You want to apply more pressure to the area that you're pushing, and repeat. When I realized that there was more of like a science to it and less of like a talent to it, I knew that I was going to be able to do it. When there's like, when there's an area, when there's an opportunity to like be creative, and that's usually where I have a hard time. If there's a science to it, like you do step A, step B, step C, I got it. I can follow directions. That's my thing, but it's also not my thing because then I get so caught up on the directions that it's hard for my brain to deviate from the direction. Honestly, like the most complicated part of the whole fender rolling process was the setup. Dialing in like how to position the fender roller, the wheel, and getting it started was the most difficult part. And I realized if I had done the fender rolling prior to putting on the coilovers, which, you know, had lowered the car a little bit, it would have been easier. I just wasn't working with enough like wheel well area. But I made it through that. Another thing is when you go to roll the fenders, typically you'll need to remove that plastic fender liner, wheel well liner. My car, it was pretty much tucked out of the way, so I didn't have to. And I also had marked the inside fender with a crayon. Drove the car and I could see exactly where it was rubbing because the crayon mark had rubbed off. So I pretty much knew where my plan of attack was going to be on rolling the fender, but I did want to make sure to try to, you know, even add out as much as possible. I didn't have to remove the bumper because I didn't need to roll the areas where the bracket holds onto the bumper. And I didn't need to remove the rocker panels because I didn't even need to roll that far down. It was pretty much mainly like the upper area that I needed to roll. Very straight. This is how I started off with my rear ones. So they started off very just straight. You could almost see them on the outside. And an area in this upper portion was what was digging into and cutting my wheels. Let's take a look at the after. The wheel well was cutting in to my tires. It actually looks worse on camera than it does in person. Or maybe that's the fantasy that I tell myself. You know, live and learn, right? They're just tires. You can always buy more. They were nice tires. I mean, they are nice tires. These are some nice Toyos. I fell in love with these because of the tread pattern. It's got a great tread pattern. So, if you look at where I've actually rolled, I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's almost completely folded in. So there's no more rubbing. And I did not have to remove the bumper because the primary point of scraping was in this upper area right here. So it's completely smooth, no more scraping. I could even lower this a little bit if I wanted to, and I might. I'm working on my front suspension now. Here's the other side. This is where it was. At least it's solved. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Sadly, I opened my door and the keys are in there and my butt hit the door lock on my way out and I didn't realize it and I locked my keys in the car. So I'm waiting for AAA to unlock the keys. I'm so bummed, but it's okay. At least I have AAA. I dated this guy back when I was a teenager and he was such a mamby-pamby. He used to wear like rubber gloves to like check his oil. It was ridiculous. I mean, he had like a 1990 Camry. I think it was his parents' car. You know, nothing against that, but he just was such a little bitch about it. So I was, because of that, of course, I was scarred for life and I never wanted to wear gloves working in my car. It's not till recently where I was like, you know what? It's so, sometimes my hands are so dirty they just won't get clean. And if I go out with my mom to like the mall or Taco Bell or something, it actually embarrasses the person that I'm with. So like if I go out with my sister and we go to the mall and I have like these filthy mechanic hands, she's embarrassed, so I don't care, you know, whatever. But I can feel her embarrassment. So when I can, I wear gloves. It just helps me keep my hands clean.